And greetings, friends. Today I want to talk to you about another Bible misconception that many mainstream fundamentalist Christians use to try and prove that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews, even though we see 4 whole books of the Bible that show 2 separate kingdoms, the house of Israel to the north, the house of Judah to the south. We see 2 separate capitals, separate dynasties of kings, and we see in 2 Kings 16:6 that the Jews are at war against Israel, but they lay all these scriptures aside and they come up with these little proof texts to try and prove that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews. Now many, like this person here, this author, and people of Israel, here Kingdom of the Cults author Walter Martin, he has a whole chapter dedicated to the beliefs of the Seventh-day Churches of God. And of course, many of the Seventh-day Churches of God believe that the house of Israel and the house of Judah are separate, and they will remain separate until the second coming of Jesus Christ, where they're all brought back into the promised land. This is what they believe. And of course, many believe that they've been scattered all up into northwestern Europe and the British Isles and received their promises that God promised them through the prophets, Jacob and Moses and others. This is what we believe. But of course, Walter Martin takes issue with that and dedicated a whole chapter in his book, The Kingdom of the Cults. And he says this, tries to prove that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews with this proof text about the Apostle Paul. It says here, if Israel and Judah are separate nations, which he doesn't believe, he believes all 12 tribes are Jews, and there they are in Palestine today. Forget all the promises that God made to Ephraim, Manasseh, Dan, Asher, Reuben, all the promises that we read in Genesis, the 49th chapter, of where these people would end up in the last days and the promises, the blessings that they would receive. Forget all that. They are one nation called the Jews, according to Walter Martin. But he says, if Israel and Judah are separate nations, why then does the apostle describe the Jews as his brethren and his kinsmen according to the flesh, and then identify them as Israelites, heirs to the promise of God, and those promises are provided for in the coming Messiah? The apostle Paul made this clear by declaring, I am a man which am a Jew, for I am also an Israelite. Are they Israelites? So am I. And then he quotes, then he says you can find these scriptures in Acts 21:39, 22:3, Romans 11:1, 2 Corinthians 11:22, and Philippians 3:5. Now, the Apostle Paul, he called himself a Jew. Does that mean that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews? This is a popular scripture that many of these people use to try and prove that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews. Is it true? Well, to answer this question, we must understand that there are 3 ways that this word Jew is applied: racially, nationally, and religiously. And when you look at the Apostle Paul, he applied the term Jew to himself nationally and religiously, but racially, he never said he was a Jew. And we'll see that in a minute. But you see, the first way you can apply this word Jew is racially, and it refers to the people of the tribe of Judah. The people of Judah, the nickname for Judah is Jew, and Jew just means a person from Judah, a Judahite. And you can read that in Vine's Expository Dictionary of Biblical Words, page 333 to 334. Now, this word can also be applied nationally. When the kingdom was split between the house of Israel and the house of Judah, God says that he lent one tribe to Judah. And that tribe, of course, was Benjamin. And then, of course, Levi was scattered throughout all 12 tribes. And so we see that Benjamin joined the rebellion and became part of the kingdom of Judah and were Jews nationally, but they weren't Jews racially. Just like a person who immigrates from Italy to Canada, and he stays in Canada, he becomes Canadian. Racially, he's not a Canadian, but nationally, he is Canadian. It's the same way with the situation here. The people of Benjamin, God says, I lent one tribe to Judah, which is the tribe of Benjamin, and the people of Benjamin joined the kingdom of Judah. And of course, they were called Jews because the kingdom was called the Kingdom of Judah, named after the Jews. It was their kingdom, and people that joined that kingdom were known as Jews nationally, but not racially. And then the third way to apply this term is, of course, religiously. Now, when you look at the Apostle Paul in Acts, the 21st chapter, verse 39, one of the scriptures that Walter Martin quotes, notice what he says here. He says, Acts 21:39, Paul said, I am a man which am a Jew of Tarshish, a city in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city. And I beseech thee, suffer me to speak unto the people. What's he talking about here? He's talking about him being a Jew nationally, being a citizen among the Jews in Tarshish. So he was a Jew nationally, he's talking about here. Notice Acts 22:3. He says, I am verily a man which am a Jew, born in Tarshish, a city in Cilicia, yet brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel, and taught according to the perfect matter of the law of the fathers, and was zealous towards God, as ye are all this day. What's he talking about here? How is he applying this name Jew? Nationally, yes, but also religiously. Now, when it speaks of him being a Jew racially, well, he never makes that claim. Here, when the Apostle Paul gets specific in Philippians 3:5, notice what it says here. He says, circumcised the 8th day, of the stock of Israel, of the tribe of Benjamin, and Hebrew of the Hebrews. So he never claimed racially that he was a Jew. He said he was a Jew religiously. He said he was a Jew nationally, but racially he was not a Jew. And here in Acts 23, verse 6, it says, but when Paul perceived that the one part were Sadducees and the other were Pharisees, he cried out into the council, men and brethren, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. So if he was claiming to be a Jew, he was a Jew religiously. He was a Jew nationally, but racially, he wasn't of the tribe of Judah. He was of the tribe of Benjamin. So when he got specific and talked about being the stock of Israel, the tribe of Benjamin, a Hebrew of a Hebrew, he never said he was a Jew. Some people, when they look at the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, some argue that, well, you see the word Israel mentioned more times than the word Jew in the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. Well, yes, the Jews are Israelites. So yes, they're going to call themselves Israel. They are Israelites. They come from, of course, their patriarch, Jacob, Israel. So it's only right for themselves to call themselves Israel. But not all Israelites are Jews. And that's the point. That all Jews are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. And when you look at the books of Ezra and Nehemiah, you see who came back to the promised land. And you will see that only some Jews came back to the promised land, not all of them. Notice Ezra chapter 1, verse 1 through 2. It says here that God stirred up the spirit of King Cyrus the Great, and he says that he would permit the Jews to build him, that's God, a house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. And then it says, then the heads of the fathers' houses of Judah, Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites arose to go up to build the house of the Lord, which is in Jerusalem. That's in verse 5. So who came back to the promised land? Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. And of course, these people are all Israelites. Of course they're Israelites. So it's only right to call them Israel. But not all the Israelites came back to the promised land. Just the kingdom of Judah, the Jews. Notice in Nehemiah. It says here in Nehemiah 5, 7 through 8 and 17, it says, so I called a great assembly, and I said unto them, that's the Jews, according to our ability, which we have redeemed our Jewish brethren. Moreover, there were at my table 150 Jews and rulers. So who came back to the land of Palestine? The Jews of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Notice verse 73 of that same chapter. It says, so the priests, the Levites, and all of Israel dwelt in their cities. It says all of Israel. Who? All the 12 tribes. Many people believe that all the 12 tribes came back when they read that scripture. But when you notice who came back, it was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. When it says all of Israel, it means all the Israelites that were there at that time, which was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Not all of Israel, but just the 3 tribes that came back. Notice Ezra 10:5. Ezra calls all Israel to swear an oath. And who was all Israel in Ezra? All of Israel was the Israel that was there at that time. Verse 9. You read, who gathered together for that oath? The men of Judah and Benjamin gathered at Jerusalem. This is all of Israel that was there at that time. And they are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. Dan, Ephraim, Manasseh, Asher, Issachar, and so on. These tribes are not Jews. They never have been Jews, and they never will be Jews. They are part of the kingdom of Israel, the house of Israel that got taken away and scattered up into northwestern Europe, and of course received their birthright promises there in Europe. And so the Israel that was there at the time that settled in Palestine were Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the kingdom of Judah, the Jews. And these Jews, racially, it was just Judah who were Jews. Nationally, they were all Jews. And religiously, they were Jews as well. But the Apostle Paul racially never claimed to be a Jew. So this is why we see the term Jew and Israelite used interchangeably, because all Jews are Israelites, but not all Israelites are Jews. Now, if you want to know more on this, I urge you to download our booklet, The United States and Britain in Bible Prophecy, free of charge. I'll put the link underneath below, and I'll put the link to all the arguments that these people make, our arguments section. I'll put the link in the description below as well. You can check that out as well. And if you want to know more about the tribe of Benjamin, and what happened to the tribe of Benjamin, that they actually broke away from the Jews and became their own entity, became their own nation. Where are they today? Where are they identified today? I'll put the link underneath below, and you can order your booklet that we will send into your inbox within 1 business day, the booklet on the tribe of Benjamin. And you will see the whole history of Benjamin and where they are today. So to say that these scriptures prove that all 12 tribes of Israel are Jews is just another Bible misconception.